So there are two things here, that it's very important to have clear limits and boundaries, which you have. You've spoken about it. We will be coming back to how to enforce these limits and boundaries phase-wise. Coming back to your question, that is it justified not to feel that I'm not listened to? Again, is it a thought, or is it igniting a sense of reaction in you? Can you see the difference? Is it just a thought, or is it igniting a reaction in you? How do you check that? You check that if you know that, okay, my energy is shifting, my communication is shifting. Am I talking consciously? Am I telling them things like, if you don't switch off the TV now, no going out and playing. It's like a punishment kind of a thing. Yeah. So you have to really notice yourself. You have to observe yourself. So what do you feel? How do you deal with it?
I feel I go in a gradient. I kind of consciously take the my tone in a different mode so that they know that, that's what I feel, that they know that now this is getting a little more inflexible.
So your pitch gets higher.
Not the pitch, but then it is like, then it's not, then it's a little more firm. Right. It's not as soft as the earlier conversation, right? Okay. So then it will be like, okay, so now, but that's the final one. That's the last 5 minutes we this thing. Right. And beyond that, then I would be like, okay, now it's in the next 1 minute, either you close it or me.
Right.
So it would get firmer and tighter. The conversation will get firmer or tighter, and I do this very consciously. But I kind of know that this whole thing is going in that direction where now I have to get firmer and firmer. So it is an irritant.
It's an irritant one. Second, my question to you is, Nupur, if you have already had a discussion with your children that we will be watching it for, say, X amount of time, and you follow these steps that you go and tell them after 5 minutes and 3 minutes and 1 minute, then why is it overwhelming? Why is it challenging for you? I want to understand that.
Well, I feel that it's something that, that has been agreed upon.
Right.
But I still have to make it happen. So it doesn't happen organically. It's something that I would have ideally liked.
So, coming back to how we talk to our children becomes very important. Say, for example, are we consciously communicating with them? Yes, we are going to turn off the TV. Yes, they will not go beyond the limits and boundaries. But how are we communicating? Are we connecting with them? So very important is that when you are going to turn off the TV, you build that connect with that child. You tell that child that, oh, you're watching this. Say, for example, what does your child watch? So you say cartoon, you're watching a particular cartoon. And then you have an interaction with the child. Oh, this seems so much fun, like try and engage with that child for a moment. So the child is surely going to reply back to you that, oh, my mama is equally enthusiastic about it. Gain that one moment of your child's attention and then tell the child. What happens is that we are not making that eye contact. We are not connecting with the child, and we just want to take action, right? So build that moment of connect. Try and if you can make that moment of eye contact with that child, then now I'm going to be taking this action. So this is a respectful way of communicating with your child. So you build that attention and then tell that child that after 5 minutes, I'm going to turn off the television. Yeah. So you've gained your child's attention and you've communicated to the child. Then make sure, what happens, most of us bring about these limits about television from another room. So make sure that you're in that same space along with that child when you're bringing forth this limit and boundary. So you tell, after 5 minutes, you tell the child again that now they only, whatever time is left, say 3 minutes are left. Again, try and build that connect with that child. After 3 minutes, I'm going to turn off the television. Right? So let that child know that, okay, I've got only so much time left. And because you've been doing this as a pattern, your child would know what to expect. So after that 2 minutes, you turn off the television. See, once you have that kind of connect, I have seen it that I won't need to do it for my children. My children do it themselves, right? But if you have to still take that action and do it, you go ahead and do it. But be prepared with whatever your child has to feel. So again, this is the limit and boundary you have created, but your child gets to feel what your child wants to feel. So if your child wants to throw a tantrum, is crying out, then you have to give them that space to be what they are. Then don't distract them. Then don't cut short their feelings. Then don't cut short their tantrums by giving in. Only because you're not ready for it. That's how you bring in limits and boundaries, by respecting them, by having that conscious communication with them. Now coming back to the trigger aspect, where you're feeling irritated because this is like a routine, they don't listen. You need to work on your trigger. You need to come to them from a space that, you're not triggered. From a space that you're going to respect them, respect their behavior. That's how you build emotional intelligence. Yeah, that's how you build their self-worth. Because nowhere in your interaction, you are making them feel guilty of what they are doing. You see the difference? Most often, when they are watching TV or they are on their gadgets, from our energy, they sense that they are doing something wrong. They feel guilty about what they are doing. So what are we doing to their wholeness? What are we doing to their self-worth? So how do we not feel triggered about it? Again, those 3 questions. Identify your trigger. Is it an external trigger by your children? Or is it an internal trigger that I am feeling? Do I feel frustrated? Do I feel stressed? Do I feel overwhelmed? Do I feel lack? Do I feel judged? It could be an internal trigger that I have been living with since my childhood. Then you have to come to the whys of the trigger. That why is it bothering me? Most often when we come to this root cause, that why is this bothering me, we start the healing process. So I will share an example. Recently was my daughter's birthday and she was unwrapping her gifts and she was throwing the papers all over the place. And when I went in the room, I noticed it and I was triggered. I was irritated and I was actually getting furious about it. So I told her that if you don't clear up, I'm not going to take you for your gymnastic class. So it was like, if you don't do this, then this is the punishment. Then I realized that my energy had shifted. The way I was communicating was also not conscious. I was reacting to this situation. And children pick up on our energies, and they then act up even more. Right? So then I came back so it's very important to be authentic, like I've always said, and allow your children to see that you are vulnerable, because that's how they will know the true imperfections of being a human. So to tell them that, look, I'm not feeling okay about this and I'm going to step back and come back to you when I feel fine. Yeah, so it's very, very important to slow down. I knew she has a gymnastic class after some time, but for me at that point of time, it was important to take care of myself. So I stepped out of the situation and I started to think about it. I started to journal about it. That's when I reflected that in my childhood, I would throw around my clothes. I would be messy. I would not clean up. And my parents never told me to clean up. But somewhere when I was growing up, my siblings made fun of it. I was criticized for it and I felt a lot of pain. I felt irresponsible. So when I saw this particular situation, it ignited that pain in me. So what I really did to myself at that moment was I acknowledged my inner child. I reparented myself. I gave my inner child what I wasn't given when I was a child. So I actually told myself that it's really painful for you to see a situation like this, and it's painful for you to come to a space where you felt that you were irresponsible and you were criticized. So that's where I began this healing process. Okay. Then the next step was, what are my unmet needs? Have I communicated to my children? So my needs were that I need the things to be picked up after they are used. And how do I communicate? So the next day I went up to my child and I told her very clearly, this is how you clearly communicate, that it is helpful to me, to mama, to didis when you pick up your stuff. It really makes a difference when you help mama. This is conscious communication. And this comes from a space when you're not triggered. Yeah. And also very important is that when the situation changes, you replay the entire scene to your child in a non-blame, non-shame way, and you send them the information or the message that you want to send them. Now coming back to the example of watching television. Yeah. So you sit with them and you explain to them non-shame and not making them feel guilty about what they are doing, that this is what is expected out of them and this is what bothers you when it goes beyond the limit. Also, it's very important for you to build that connect with them time and again. Because once that connect is built, most often children comply with the parental request.
Right. So it's important to step back at the time when you're triggered and not respond. So it's important not to react at that point.
Absolutely.
And it's good to find another time when you are also feeling good and your children are also in a good space, and then bring about this discussion.
Right.
So that's what I'm gathering, that it works much better
in a non-blame, non-shame way.
Yeah, and then you can be very objective about things because you're not triggered in your mind.
But it's very important that you talk about that entire scene in the detail that it's happened. That mama came, mama told you, mama went back. So talk about this entire scene very, very specifically, in detail.
Yeah. But it's very interesting, the example that you gave about yourself is how, a small thing that the child does. I mean, in the larger scheme of things, if you think about it, it's no big deal, right? To either have even you throw your clothes around or your child even doing that thing in a messy manner. But how it brings for us as parents, it helps to heal us and it helps to get over things that we've been keeping inside us for so long.
Absolutely. That's why so much gratitude to our children for helping us transform and helping us grow in this journey, to help us evolve. That's the reason we say this is pioneering a new way of parenting.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's not just parenting. It's not about what we are doing to the children, but the children are giving us so much back.
Absolutely.
Because we are also, in the end, a compilation of experiences.
True.
And not all experiences have gone well. And we are carrying that within ourselves.
So well
if
said.
The children are showing that to us with whatever way, and they are always not pleasant ways, I think it's lovely to introspect and heal yourself out of
Absolutely, Nupur. So well said. I'm so glad that you are able to comprehend this in such simple words, and I'm sure that you would incorporate this in your life and you will bring about that changes in yourself and then be able to better connect with your children, because they will keep mirroring these aspects to us till we have not healed ourselves.
Right.
Also, another important point here is that are we role modeling these aspects in front of them? So when I actually reflected back that when do I clear up? I clear up when my children have either gone to school or when they have slept. So I'm clearly not embodying this in front of them. So very consciously I need to role model this when they see it. Only then they will incorporate it in their life whenever they are ready.